In this video, we are going to take a look at how to use a logic hop in your WordPress templates with PHP. So I'm on a very simple page here. I've called it landing page, and I want to show you the content of the page. You'll see that there's an image on the page, but if I come in to edit the page itself, there's actually no content in it whatsoever. Well, this is by design because we're going to take a look at the PHP template. So I'm going to jump into my editor. I'm using Atom. And what we'll see is I have a template, and it's called page-landing-page.php. And this simply is a WordPress template that's going to be the default template for the page with the slug landing-page. So what you see here is I have this selected, and this is my image that we're seeing, and I just have a simple div that image is contained within. So that's how this image is appearing on the page. If I wanted to put a little bit of text in there, I can save this, and if I reload, we'll see that that's there. And again, this is in the template. Now, there are a variety of reasons you may want to have logic hop processing content in your templates. So this is a simple example, but things that you may want to do is have custom footer areas, custom areas in your header. So logic hop can work anywhere in WordPress that is processed by WordPress content filters. So let's take a look at how to do that. So imagine this scenario where we have an image and we want to be able to swap out this image in our template based on a condition. So we're going to use simple conditions, and what we have here are UTM_content is boating, and this is just checking if UTM content is boating. Here we have UTM content off-road, and we're checking if UTM content is off-road. So let's take a look at a real simple way that we can work with this, and we're going to create a logic block. And I'm going to call this a landing page. Now, logic blocks are short codes that can be placed anywhere in the WordPress content area, and I'm going to show you how we can add that into our template. So first we're going to say if, and we're going to select a condition, and I'm going to say content is boating, and then here I'm just going to add media, and then I've got a boat image, so I'm going to insert that into the post, and then I can come and select else if, select a condition, content is off-road, and then here I'm going to click my off-road image. And then end if, I'm going to change this to be else. And here I'm going to add my default image. This is my fallback if neither of those conditions are met. So you can see we're saying if UTM content is boating, we're going to display the boating image. Else, if the UTM content is off-road, we're going to display the off-road truck image. Else, if it's none of those, we're going to display our default image. So I'm going to go ahead and click Publish, and what you'll see is we get our shortcode. Now we can push this in our page, and the way we would actually do this, click the logic hop button, come to blocks, select our block, and go ahead and put that in. I'm going to just cancel this out, and I'm going to show you how we can do that in the template itself. So putting it in the template, you'll see I have this div here, so I'm just going to delete all of this. And what I'm going to use is a WordPress function that is called doShortCode. So this is just the snippet of code. So it's a PHP block of code. And then I'm echoing this out because this is going to return that value and I want to display it in the page. So this is a PHP function. And doShortCode is going to basically process the shortcode in our PHP page here. Now I have single quotes, so what I do need to do is I do need to grab that block shortcode. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to come here and I'm going to paste it into place, and then I'm going to save this. Now when I come back to my page and reload, you see now we're just seeing that default image, but I have UTM content. If I come in and I change that to boating, now we have boating for our image. And if I also come in and change this to off-road, we're going to see our off-road truck. So you can see now we still have our page that has no content in it, and our template, which now has our logic block in it. So this is one of the ways you can use logic blocks anywhere in your WordPress templates. So you could use this in the header, in the footer, in the sidebar, anywhere you see fit. So let's take a look at another way that we can do this as well. So I'm going to come into my page for a second, and one of the things I want to show is just a variable. So I'm going to come to data, and for logic hop variable, I'm going to choose query store, and this is going to be our UTM underscore content. And I'm going to give this a default. So my default value is going to be hello. I'm going to insert this variable. Now what this does is this will take that query string that's been stored for UTM content and it will display it on the page. And then if there's no content, it will say hello. So if we take a look at this, if I update the page, I come here and you see that says we have content off-road. If I reload this, you see that's appearing down here. This is off-road. So that just shows us that we can use this logic hop logic tag in the page itself, but we don't want to do it in the page. We want to take this out of here. So I'm going to update this, and we want to put this in our template itself. So it's important to note that when I come here, I'm going to put this in an H2 tag. If I put this directly in the page and I reload, we're actually not getting that variable. It's not being processed. So this is just the actual logic tag. It's not actually being rendered and showing us the logic hop variable. So what I'm going to do is use a filter that WordPress provides. And I'm going to come and I'm going to paste it in here. And just so we can take a look at it, that it's PHP echo, apply filters, and then it's called the content. So what this is going to do is it's going to take any content between these two single quotes, and it's going to run it through the WordPress content filter, and then using PHP is going to echo it back out on the page. So what I can do is I can take this whole snippet of code here, cut it, and I'm just going to paste it right in there. So you can see we're passing that all into the apply filters function. It's going to be filtered by the content filter, and then we're echoing it out on the page. So let me save this. And if I come here and I reload, we're going to see off-road in that H2 tag. So now we're able to process that logic tag in real time as the page loads. So let's take a look at one other way that we can do this as well. So what we've done here is we've had our short code, and we also had our apply filters, so we're able to take raw logic tags and display them, and then we're also able to use our shortcode. But what if you have a lot of HTML in your template and you want to have different sections and render those out? Well, we can use a strategy that's referred to as a PHP Output Buffer. So we can buffer this content, capture it, and then pass it all through the content filters. So let me show you what that would look like. First, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this section of content here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into my page, and I'm just going to do this so I can grab the logic tags so I don't have to rewrite them. So in this instance, I'm going to come to logic hop. I'm going to say if content is boating. I'm going to choose this to be an if else. So I'm going to insert that conditional logic, and you'll see this actually gives me this information here. Content and boating, else. And this will be our else. So I do want to add another else if. So I'm going to click the logic hop button, come to conditions and say else if, and this one I'm going to choose off-road. I'm going to go ahead and insert that, and you'll see that if we look at this formatting, this will give us these three conditions that we're looking at. So if the condition is boating, else if the condition is off-road, else meaning it's none of those. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this, and I'm going to come back to my content here. And here is where I'm going to paste this in. So I'm just going to tab these into place. And the other thing I'm going to need to do is grab my images and put them in the page. So I'm just going to grab them from my logic block because they're already there. So here is the one for the boating. When I come back, I'm just going to paste this in place. I'm going to grab the next one, and this is my off-road image. And again, I'm going to paste this in. And I'm going to come back and grab my default and paste this one into place. So now we have our landing page div and we have our conditions. So let's come into the page and take a look at it. And when I reload, we see all three images at once, and then we also see our logic tags. So in order to take this, we have to process it by running it through the WordPress filter. So let's take a look at this. So here we have this on our page, and what we're going to use is that output buffer that I talked about. And now this is built into PHP. So this is a PHP function. I'm just going to tab this back so we can see this in a structured manner. And then we're going to use another snippet of code. And then finally, we're going to use our apply filters again. So let me walk through what this is going to do. The way PHP output buffers work is where this says output buffer start, this starts the buffer, and PHP does not display any of this content between here and here. It stores it in a buffer. Then what we're doing here with this line of code is we're saying content is equal to output buffer get the contents. So we're getting the contents of that output buffer and we're storing it in a variable called content. Then we're saying output buffer end clean, and this is just a way to end the output buffer and let PHP know to stop running the output buffer. Then we're doing this that we saw before, which we're echoing the response or the content. We're echoing out the result of the filter, and that is the content filter. So what we're actually doing is we're taking that variable content and we're passing it through the WordPress the_content filter, and we're echoing it out back on the page. So it's actually going to display that on the page. So when you think about this, the buffer is just going to store all of this content in the variable, and then the variable is going into the content filter and is getting displayed on the page. So let me go ahead and save this and reload. And there we go. We're seeing the off-road content because we have UTM content off-road. If I get rid of this entirely, there we're seeing our default image. If I come in here and I put in boating, we're seeing our boating image. So I hope this is helpful to see. This is a really powerful way that you can use Logic Hop and add logic tags, logic blocks, Logic Hop data, or any type of Logic Hop content anywhere in your WordPress templates. So this could be in the header, this could be in the footer. Really flexible, you can use it any way you see fit. If you have any questions, send us an email at info@logichop.com.